The vast emptiness of space hides countless mysteries, but none as chilling as this. When a routine mission turns into an unexpected discovery, a team of explorers stumbles upon a derelict spacecraft adrift in the void. What secrets lie within its cold, silent halls? Why does every step they take feel like it's being watched? And why do some parts of the ship seem alive? As curiosity pulls them deeper into the unknown, they uncover something far beyond human comprehension. But what starts as exploration quickly spirals into survival, and not everyone will make it back alive. This is Abandoned Vessel, the deadly secret within Dash. Subscribe now to unravel the mystery. The stars stretched endlessly before them, shimmering pinpricks against the infinite black canvas of space. The crew of the Solara 7 had spent weeks navigating the uncharted regions of the galaxy. Their mission simple yet vital: chart new territories and search for signs of intelligent life. It was a task that demanded precision, patience, and courage, a trifecta embodied by each member of the small but capable team. They were explorers at heart, driven by the insatiable human desire to push boundaries and seek answers where none seemed forthcoming. Yet nothing could have prepared them for what awaited in the depths of the cosmos. On the 23rd day of their journey, sensors aboard the Solara 7 detected an anomaly, a massive object drifting silently through the void. At first glance, it appeared to be little more than debris, remnants of some ancient collision lost to time. But as they drew closer, the scanners revealed something extraordinary. The object was not natural. It was man-made, or so it seemed. Its design bore traces of familiarity, yet there was an otherworldly quality to its construction that defied easy explanation. A long-abandoned vessel, perhaps, or evidence of extraterrestrial engineering. Whatever it was, it beckoned them forward with an almost magnetic allure. Commander Elena Vasquez stood at the helm, her sharp eyes scanning the readouts displayed across the main console. She hesitated only briefly before issuing the order to investigate. There was no protocol dictating how to handle such discoveries. This was uncharted territory, both literally and figuratively. The decision weighed heavily on her shoulders, but she knew one thing for certain. Turning away would mean leaving behind potential knowledge that could change everything humanity understood about itself and its place in the universe. And so, with cautious optimism, the Solara 7 maneuvered toward the mysterious craft, ready to unlock whatever secrets lay hidden within. As the Solara 7 approached the derelict vessel, its true scale became apparent. Towering over their own ship, the structure loomed like a ghost from another age, its surface scarred by centuries, if not millennia, of exposure to the harsh conditions of deep space. Panels peeled away like dead skin, revealing twisted metal beneath, while jagged rents suggested catastrophic damage inflicted long ago. Despite its battered appearance, however, the ship retained an undeniable air of grandeur, as though it had once been a marvel of technological achievement. Elena ordered the deployment of a tether line, anchoring the two vessels together before assembling her team for boarding. Alongside her were Lieutenant Marcus Kane, the ship's engineer whose expertise ensured their survival in even the most hostile environments. Dr. Priya Patel, the biologist tasked with analyzing any organic material they might encounter, and Ensign Daniel Harper, the youngest member of the crew, whose keen observational skills often proved invaluable during missions. Each carried specialized equipment tailored to the challenges ahead, but none could predict the horrors lurking just beyond the airlock. The entry point was sealed shut, requiring Marcus to bypass the locking mechanism manually. Sparks flew as he worked, his gloved hands moving with practiced efficiency despite the limited visibility provided by their helmet lights. Finally, with a metallic groan, the hatch slid open, revealing a darkened corridor stretching into the unknown. The team exchanged nervous glances, their breaths fogging the interiors of their visors. No sound greeted them save the faint hum of their suits' life support systems, a stark contrast to the eerie silence surrounding them. With Elena leading the way, they stepped inside, their boots echoing softly against the cold floor. Almost immediately, they noticed strange markings etched into the walls, glowing faintly under the beam of their lights. The symbols defied interpretation, resembling neither human writing nor anything cataloged in the extensive xenolinguistic databases aboard the Solara 7. Their presence hinted at intelligence, though whether alien or artificial remained unclear. More unsettling still was the sensation of being watched, a prickling unease that settled over the group like an invisible weight. Every instinct screamed for caution, yet the promise of discovery propelled them onward, deeper into the labyrinthine corridors of the abandoned ship. The interior of the derelict vessel was unlike anything they had encountered before. Its architecture combined elements of both functionality and surrealism, blending utilitarian designs with bizarre flourishes that seemed almost artistic. Bulkheads curved unnaturally, creating optical illusions that disoriented the senses, while conduits snaked along ceilings and walls in chaotic patterns. Lights flickered sporadically, casting shadows that danced unpredictably across the surfaces, further heightening the sense of unease. Dr. Patel paused frequently to examine these peculiar features, her scientific curiosity overriding her growing apprehension. She noted how certain materials appeared to react to their presence, shifting colors or emitting low-frequency vibrations when touched. These phenomena suggested advanced technology far beyond current human capabilities, raising questions about the origins of the ship and its creators. Could it belong to an extinct civilization? Or had it been constructed by beings who continued to exist somewhere among the stars, watching and waiting? Meanwhile, Ensign Harper focused on documenting their surroundings, capturing high-resolution images and video footage for later analysis. His camera lens caught details others might overlook: tiny scratches on the floor, smudges on control panels, and faint trails of dust disturbed by recent movement. Though he said nothing, his observations painted a troubling picture. The ship may have been abandoned, but it wasn't entirely empty. Something, or someone, had been here recently. Leading the group, Commander Vasquez maintained a steady pace, her training keeping fear at bay despite the mounting tension. Her mind raced with possibilities, each more alarming than the last. If survivors remained aboard, were they friend or foe? And if the ship housed some form of automated defense system, how would it respond to intruders? Questions swirled unanswered as they pressed deeper into the vessel, their path illuminated only by the narrow beams of their helmet lamps. Then came the first sign of danger, a faint scraping noise echoing from somewhere ahead. It stopped abruptly, leaving only silence in its wake. The team froze, hearts pounding beneath layers of protective gear. None dared speak, unwilling to break the fragile spell of calm. Slowly, they resumed their advance, weapons drawn and ready, though none could say precisely what threat they anticipated facing. One thing was clear: the longer they stayed aboard, the less likely they were to leave unscathed. The scraping noise returned, louder this time, accompanied by a low, rhythmic thumping that reverberated through the walls. It was as though the ship itself had come alive, its metallic veins pulsing with some unknown energy. The team halted again, their helmet lights casting frantic beams across the corridor. Shadows shifted unnaturally, elongating and twisting in ways that defied logic. Each member of the crew felt the weight of unseen eyes boring into them, though no source could be identified. Commander Vasquez raised her hand, signaling for silence. She scanned the area methodically, her sharp instincts honed by years of training. But even she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being toyed with, like prey caught in the grasp of a predator biding its time. Her gaze fell on a nearby bulkhead, where faint indentations suggested claw-like marks gouged into the metal. The grooves were deep, precise, and far too deliberate to have been caused by random debris or structural failure. Whatever had made them was strong and likely still aboard. Dr. Patel knelt beside one of the markings, running her gloved fingers over its jagged edges. She noticed something peculiar: traces of organic residue embedded within the grooves. It shimmered faintly under her light, almost crystalline in texture. Could it be biological? Or was it synthetic, engineered to mimic life? Either possibility sent shivers down her spine. If the substance originated from an alien organism, what did that imply about the ship's original occupants? And if it was artificial, who or what had designed it? Ensign Harper continued filming, his camera capturing every detail with unsettling clarity. He zoomed in on the residue, then panned upward to reveal more symbols etched into the ceiling. These ones seemed fresher than those they'd encountered earlier, glowing brighter and radiating a faint warmth. They formed intricate patterns that spiraled outward like a vortex, drawing the eye inward until it felt trapped. Harper blinked rapidly, shaking off the disorienting sensation. Something about these symbols felt wrong, as if staring at them for too long might unravel the mind. Lieutenant Kane kept his weapon trained ahead, his grip steady despite the tension coursing through him. His engineering background gave him a unique perspective. He recognized components of the ship's systems, but they were fused together in ways that defied conventional design principles. Wires coiled haphazardly around conduits, forming loops and knots that shouldn't function yet somehow did. Power surges crackled intermittently, bathing the corridor in flashes of bluish light. Kane muttered under his breath, "This place is a death trap." Still, they pressed onward, driven by equal parts duty and dread. Each step took them deeper into the belly of the derelict vessel, closer to answers, but also closer to whatever lurked in the dark. The corridor opened into a vast chamber, its dimensions dwarfing anything they had seen so far. The space resembled a control room, dominated by towering consoles encrusted with strange crystalline panels. Faint holographic displays flickered erratically, projecting streams of data written in the same indecipherable script that adorned the walls. The air hummed with latent energy, vibrating against their suits like an invisible force field. Commander Vasquez approached one of the consoles cautiously, her movements deliberate. She activated her suit's analyzer, scanning for any residual power signatures. To her astonishment, the readings indicated active energy flow, not enough to sustain full operation, but sufficient to maintain minimal functionality. This wasn't a dead ship. It was dormant, waiting for something or someone to awaken it. Dr. Patel joined her, examining a cluster of orbs suspended above the central console. They pulsed faintly, emitting soft hues of green and violet. Upon closer inspection, she discovered tiny fractures spiderwebbing across their surfaces, as if they had been damaged during some catastrophic event. Yet they remained intact, humming softly as though holding secrets just out of reach. Patel theorized they might serve as memory cores, storing information crucial to understanding the vessel's purpose. Extracting that knowledge would require bypassing security protocols, assuming such protocols even existed. Meanwhile, Ensign Harper documented the scene, capturing panoramic shots of the chamber. His lens caught movement near the periphery, a fleeting shadow darting between consoles before vanishing into the darkness. He froze, replaying the footage in slow motion. There it was again, a humanoid figure, distorted and blurry, moving with unnatural speed. Its proportions were off, limbs elongated and angular, suggesting either severe malnutrition or an entirely non-human physiology. Harper swallowed hard, resisting the urge to alert the others. Instead, he flagged the clip for later review, hoping it was merely a glitch caused by poor lighting. Lieutenant Kane focused on the ship's infrastructure, tracing power lines back to their source. He found himself drawn to a massive conduit leading downward into the lower levels of the vessel. The entrance yawned open, revealing a spiral staircase descending into pitch blackness. A cold draft swept up from below, carrying with it the faint scent of ozone and decay. Kane hesitated, torn between curiosity and caution. Whatever lay beneath held the key to unlocking the ship's mysteries, but it also posed the greatest risk. Vasquez called the team together, her voice firm despite the unease simmering beneath the surface. "We split up," she instructed. "Patel, stay here and analyze the consoles. Kane, take Harper and scout the lower levels. I'll secure the perimeter. Stay in constant communication." Though none voiced objections, the tension was palpable. They all knew splitting up increased their vulnerability, but staying put offered no guarantees either. With a final nod, they dispersed, each venturing further into the heart of the enigma. Dr. Patel worked tirelessly, her fingers flying over the controls of her portable decryption device. The crystalline panels responded sluggishly, their glow intensifying as she fed bursts of energy into them. Fragments of data began to emerge, snippets of code, images, and fragmented audio recordings, all encoded in the alien script. While much remained unintelligible, certain patterns began to form coherent sequences. One particular sequence caught her attention, a series of coordinates overlaid on a star map, pinpointing locations scattered throughout the galaxy. Some matched known habitable planets, while others pointed to regions of space previously unexplored. Her analysis revealed another disturbing detail. Timestamps embedded within the data suggested the ship had been operational mere decades ago, not centuries as initially assumed. This revelation forced Patel to reconsider her earlier hypotheses. Perhaps the vessel hadn't been abandoned after all, it had been mothballed, deliberately placed in stasis until needed. But by whom? And for what purpose? As she delved deeper, the symbols on the walls began to shift subtly, rearranging themselves into new configurations. At first, she thought it was fatigue playing tricks on her mind, but when the changes persisted, she realized the ship was adapting to her presence. It was learning, observing, responding. A chill ran down her spine as she considered the implications. Was the vessel sentient? Or was it merely reacting to external stimuli? Either scenario raised troubling questions about the nature of the technology and the intentions of its creators. Elsewhere, Lieutenant Kane and Ensign Harper descended into the lower levels, their helmet lights cutting through the oppressive darkness. The staircase twisted impossibly, defying architectural norms and creating a disorienting effect. Every step echoed unnaturally, amplifying the sound of their breathing and the creak of their boots. Harper clutched his camera tightly, filming everything with meticulous precision. Despite his efforts to remain composed, paranoia gnawed at him. Shadows flitted at the edges of his vision, disappearing whenever he turned to investigate. Kane paused periodically to examine the walls, noting how the material seemed softer here, almost organic. Veins of bioluminescent fibers pulsed faintly, guiding their path like arteries pumping life into the ship. He tapped one experimentally, eliciting a ripple that spread outward in concentric waves. The reaction startled him, prompting him to step back quickly. Whatever this substance was, it wasn't inert. It interacted, reacted, lived. At the bottom of the staircase, they found themselves in a cavernous chamber filled with rows of pods. Each pod contained a humanoid figure suspended in a gelatinous fluid, connected to a network of tubes and wires. The figures were gaunt, skeletal even, their features obscured by translucent membranes. Harper's breath hitched as he realized the bodies weren't dead, they were preserved, frozen in a state of suspended animation. Were they survivors? Prisoners? Experiments? Kane approached one of the pods cautiously, his scanner detecting faint vital signs. Whoever, or whatever, these beings were, they were alive. But awakening them carried risks far greater than leaving them undisturbed. He glanced at Harper, silently conveying the gravity of their discovery. Before they could decide their next move, the lights dimmed suddenly, plunging the chamber into near-total darkness. Panic surged through them as the hum of machinery grew louder, drowning out all other sounds. The dimming lights and the escalating hum of machinery created an atmosphere thick with dread. Lieutenant Kane instinctively raised his weapon, scanning the chamber for any sign of movement. Ensign Harper stood frozen, his camera trembling in his hands as he filmed the rows of pods bathed in eerie shadows. The bioluminescent veins along the walls pulsed faster now, their glow intensifying as though responding to some unseen trigger. Then came the sound, a low, guttural growl that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere all at once. It was not mechanical but organic, primal, and menacing. Both men turned toward the source, only to find one of the pods beginning to crack open. The gelatinous fluid oozed out slowly, pooling on the floor as the membrane peeled away. Inside lay a figure unlike anything they had ever seen. Skeletal limbs stretched unnaturally long, its skin translucent and veined with faintly glowing lines. Its eyes snapped open, revealing black voids that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Kane reacted first, firing a warning shot near the creature's pod. The blast shattered part of the casing, sending shards of glass-like material scattering across the floor. The creature flinched but did not retreat. Instead, it stretched its limbs experimentally, testing its newfound freedom. Its movements were jerky yet deliberate, as if relearning how to control its body after centuries of dormancy. Harper backed away, his camera capturing every horrifying detail as the being stepped fully into view. "Fall back," Kane shouted over the comms, his voice steady despite the terror clawing at him. He fired another round, this time aiming directly at the creature. The shot struck true, tearing through its shoulder, but instead of collapsing, the being let out a piercing screech that echoed through the chamber. More pods began to crack around them, their occupants stirring as though awakened by the disturbance. Harper stumbled backward, his mind racing. They needed to warn the others, but the growing cacophony made communication nearly impossible. As they retreated up the spiral staircase, Kane kept firing blindly into the darkness below, hoping to buy them enough time to regroup. Behind them, the creatures advanced, their movements becoming more coordinated with each passing second. Back in the control room, Dr. Patel heard the commotion over her headset. Static-laden bursts of gunfire mixed with muffled shouts, followed by Kane's urgent plea to fall back. Her heart sank as she realized the gravity of the situation. Whatever had been lurking in the lower levels was now awake and hunting. She quickly packed up her equipment, leaving behind only fragments of decrypted data stored on her portable device. The symbols on the walls continued to shift, glowing brighter as though mocking her haste. Just as she turned to leave, one of the crystalline orbs above the console emitted a sharp pulse of light. A holographic projection flickered to life, displaying what appeared to be a map of the ship overlaid with red markers indicating active threats. Patel stared at it, piecing together the implications. The ship wasn't just housing these creatures, it was guiding them, directing their movements like pieces on a chessboard. Commander Vasquez arrived moments later, her weapon drawn and her expression grim. "We need to move," she ordered, taking stock of the situation. Patel relayed what she had discovered, pointing out the projected map and the advancing markers. Vasquez studied it briefly before issuing new commands. "We'll head for the airlock. If we can seal off sections of the ship, we might slow them down." As they prepared to evacuate, the lights in the control room dimmed further, plunging the space into semi-darkness. The consoles sparked erratically, their displays glitching as the ship's systems destabilized. Patel grabbed a final orb, stuffing it into her pack despite the risk. Something told her it held critical information, perhaps even a way to disable the vessel entirely. They moved swiftly, retracing their steps through the labyrinthine corridors. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit grew louder, screeches, thuds, and the unmistakable scraping of claws against metal. The creatures were relentless, driven by some unknown purpose. Vasquez led the way, her tactical training keeping the group focused despite the chaos unfolding around them. Every intersection became a potential ambush point, forcing them to proceed with extreme caution. Reaching the junction where Kane and Harper had split off, the team found themselves cornered. Multiple routes led deeper into the ship, none offering clear escape paths. Vasquez chose the most direct route toward the airlock, relying on speed rather than stealth. They sprinted through narrow passages, their helmet lights cutting jagged arcs through the glow. En route, Harper spotted something that stopped him dead in his tracks, a mural etched into the wall, depicting humanoid figures bowing before a towering entity shrouded in shadow. Surrounding the scene were smaller images of destruction, planets crumbling, stars extinguishing, civilizations reduced to ash. The message was clear. Whatever the ship's creators worshipped, it demanded sacrifice. And perhaps, the crew of the Solara, 7 had unwittingly offered themselves as tribute. Kane dragged Harper forward, snapping him out of his reverie. There was no time for contemplation, not when death lurked around every corner. Ahead, the corridor widened into another chamber, this one filled with strange machinery resembling massive tanks or incubators. Within each tank floated grotesque forms, hybrids of flesh and metal fused together in nightmarish configurations. Some twitched feebly, while others remained motionless, their surfaces slick with viscous fluids. Patel slowed momentarily, her scientific curiosity battling against survival instincts. She recognized elements of bioengineering, organs interwoven with synthetic components, neural networks embedded within musculature. These weren't just experiments, they were weapons, designed for war or conquest. The realization chilled her to the bone. If the ship's creators had harnessed such technology, what hope did humanity stand against them? Vasquez pushed the team onward, unwilling to dwell on the horrors surrounding them. Time was running out. The creatures were closing in, their screeches echoing closer with each passing second. Finally, they reached the airlock, its circular hatch standing as their last bastion of safety. Vasquez worked quickly, overriding the locking mechanism while Kane and Patel covered the entrance. Harper leaned heavily against the wall, his breathing ragged beneath his helmet. The weight of everything they had witnessed pressed down on him, threatening to overwhelm his resolve. Just as Vasquez finished unlocking the hatch, the first wave of creatures burst into view. Their elongated limbs allowed them to scale the walls and ceiling with terrifying agility, surrounding the team in seconds. Kane opened fire, his shots finding their marks but doing little to deter the onslaught. One creature lunged at Patel, knocking her to the ground. She screamed as its claws grazed her suit, narrowly missing the vulnerable seam along her arm. Vasquez pulled Patel to her feet, shouting for everyone to move. They scrambled inside the airlock just as the outer door sealed shut behind them. The creatures slammed against the barrier, their shrieks reverberating through the thin metal. For now, they were safe, but only temporarily. Inside the tethered shuttle awaiting them, the team collapsed into their seats, adrenaline still coursing through their veins. Patel clutched the orb tightly, her mind racing with possibilities. Could it hold the key to disabling the ship? Or worse, could it summon reinforcements? The shuttle shuddered violently as it detached from the derelict vessel, its engines straining against the gravitational pull of the massive ship. Through the viewport, the crew watched in silence as the alien craft drifted further away, its ominous silhouette fading into the void. Yet the sense of relief was fleeting. None of them believed they had truly escaped. The creatures aboard that ship were intelligent, perhaps even strategic, and their pursuit might not be so easily abandoned. Dr. Patel clutched the crystalline orb tightly, her gloved fingers tracing its smooth surface. She activated her suit's analyzer again, attempting to interface with the object. Immediately, streams of data flooded her display, fragments of code, structural schematics, and what appeared to be a rudimentary map of the galaxy overlaid with pulsing red nodes. These nodes corresponded to locations scattered across known space, some eerily close to human colonies. Her stomach churned at the implications. Was this a record of conquests? Or targets yet to be claimed? Commander Vasquez monitored the shuttle's systems, ensuring their trajectory remained stable. Her sharp eyes scanned the instruments for any sign of deviation or interference. "We're clear for now," she announced, though her tone carried no reassurance. They all knew better than to trust temporary reprieves in situations like this. The derelict ship had proven itself capable of manipulation, adaptation, and aggression. There was no guarantee it wouldn't follow, or worse, send signals ahead to prepare whatever forces awaited beyond. Lieutenant Kane focused on repairing minor damage sustained during their frantic escape. Sparks flew as he worked, his hands moving deftly despite the fatigue weighing him down. He muttered under his breath about the fragility of their equipment, knowing full well that one misstep could leave them stranded indefinitely. His mind kept returning to the image of those grotesque hybrids floating in tanks, monstrosities engineered for war. If these creations ever reached Earth, humanity would face extinction within days. Ensign Harper sat hunched over his camera, reviewing footage captured during their harrowing journey. Each frame filled him with dread, but he forced himself to watch, searching for clues they might have missed in the chaos. One clip caught his attention, a fleeting reflection in a puddle of gelatinous fluid, showing something or someone standing behind them moments before the attack began. It wasn't one of the skeletal creatures. This figure was humanoid, clad in tattered robes, its face obscured by shadows. Harper froze the frame, staring at it intently. Had there been another presence aboard the ship? A survivor? Or something far more sinister? As the shuttle neared the Solara 7, an unexpected transmission crackled through their comms. At first, it sounded like static, but soon distinct patterns emerged, pulses of sound arranged in rhythmic sequences. The signal grew louder, resonating through the hull until it felt almost physical, vibrating against their bones. Dr. Patel recognized it immediately. It matched the frequency emitted by the crystalline orb in her possession. "Whatever this thing is," she said, holding up the orb, "it's communicating." Commander Vasquez frowned, toggling the comms system to isolate the source. "It's coming from the derelict ship," she confirmed. "They're trying to reach us." The realization sent a collective chill through the group. Communication implied intelligence and intent. Were the creatures attempting to negotiate, threaten, or simply lure them back into their trap? Patel hesitated before responding. Part of her wanted to analyze the signal further, to decode its meaning and uncover its purpose. But another part, a louder, instinctual voice, warned her not to engage. Interacting with the unknown rarely ended well, especially when dealing with entities as advanced and enigmatic as those aboard the derelict vessel. Still, curiosity won out. She connected the orb to her portable device, allowing it to receive and process the incoming transmission. The result was both fascinating and horrifying. The orb projected a series of holographic images directly onto the shuttle's interior walls, depictions of planets being consumed by fire, fleets of ships descending upon defenseless worlds, and towering figures cloaked in shadow overseeing the carnage. Interspersed among these visions were symbols identical to those etched into the ship's corridors, symbols that now seemed less decorative and more like warnings. "They're showing us their history," Patel whispered, her voice trembling. "Or maybe, their plans." Vasquez cut off the connection abruptly, severing the link between the orb and the transmission. "Enough," she ordered firmly. "We don't need to know what they want. Our priority is getting home." Yet even as she spoke, the shuttle's sensors detected movement behind them. The derelict ship was no longer drifting aimlessly. It was accelerating, closing the distance rapidly. Panic surged through the crew as the realization sank in. They weren't free. The derelict ship pursued them with alarming speed, its engines flaring to life in bursts of blinding light. Whatever dormant systems had powered the vessel earlier were now fully operational, propelling it forward with terrifying efficiency. Kane scrambled to reroute power to the shuttle's thrusters, pushing the small craft to its limits. "We can't outrun it," he admitted grimly. "Not with this tin can." Vasquez didn't hesitate. Prepare the EMP charge, she commanded. If we disable their systems, we might buy ourselves enough time to dock with the Solara 7 and jump to FTL. Harper's eyes widened beneath his helmet. You think that'll work? What if they adapt? It's all we've got, Vasquez replied curtly. The EMP charge was a last resort weapon designed to neutralize hostile technology. Activating it required precise timing and positioning. If deployed too early or too late, it would fail entirely. Kane armed the device while Patel calculated the optimal range based on the shuttle's sensors. Meanwhile, Vasquez maneuvered the shuttle into position, flying erratically to avoid the derelict ship's increasingly aggressive maneuvers. When the moment came, Kane launched the EMP charge with unerring accuracy. For a brief instant, everything went silent. The shuttle's systems flickered, the derelict ship's lights dimmed, and the relentless hum of its engines ceased. The crew held their breath, waiting for confirmation that the plan had succeeded. But then, just as quickly as it had stopped, the derelict ship roared back to life. Its systems rebooted almost instantly, adapting to the electromagnetic pulse as though anticipating it. Worse still, its weapons array powered up, targeting the shuttle with lethal precision. We're out of options, Vasquez growled, steering the shuttle toward the Solara 7 at maximum velocity. Brace for impact. The shuttle careened wildly as energy blasts from the derelict ship tore through space around them. One shot grazed the hull, sending sparks flying and causing alarms to blare throughout the cramped cabin. Kane fought to stabilize the damaged systems while Patel injected sedatives into her arm to counteract the pain radiating from her injured shoulder. Harper gripped his camera tightly, filming what he feared might be their final moments. Somehow, against all odds, they reached the Solara 7. Vasquez executed a daring docking maneuver, slamming the shuttle into the airlock bay with enough force to rattle every bone in their bodies. As soon as the seal engaged, she ordered everyone to abandon the shuttle and secure the ship for immediate departure. Once aboard the Solara 7, the team sprang into action. Kane activated emergency protocols, sealing bulkheads and rerouting auxiliary power to the engines. Patel uploaded the data stored in the crystalline orb to the ship's mainframe, hoping it contained information vital to understanding their pursuer. Vasquez took command of the bridge, preparing to initiate a desperate FTL jump despite the risk of catastrophic failure. Outside, the derelict ship loomed closer, its weapons trained directly on the Solara 7. Energy beams lanced through space, striking the hull with devastating force. Shields faltered under the assault, leaving the crew mere seconds before total annihilation. Jump sequence initiated, Vasquez shouted, her hands flying over the controls. The countdown began, each second stretching impossibly long. Just as the derelict ship fired its final salvo, the Solara 7 vanished into hyperspace, leaving the alien vessel behind, but not without cost. Emerging from FTL, the Solara 7 limped through space, its battered frame testament to the horrors endured. Systems malfunctioned, resources dwindled, and injuries plagued the crew. But they were alive. Barely. In the aftermath, Dr. Patel analyzed the data recovered from the crystalline orb. What she uncovered chilled her to the core. Coordinates leading to other derelict ships scattered throughout the galaxy, each potentially housing similar monstrosities. Worse still, the transmission suggested a coordinated effort, an invasion fleet lying dormant, waiting for activation. Humanity teetered on the brink of oblivion, blissfully unaware of the threat lurking in the dark. Commander Vasquez recorded a detailed log of their encounter, encrypting it for transmission to Central Command. She included a stark warning. The universe harbored dangers far greater than humanity could comprehend, and ignorance was no longer an option. As the Solara 7 charted a course back to Earth, the crew shared uneasy glances. None of them doubted the truth of Patel's findings or the likelihood that their discovery would go unheeded until it was too late. This mission had changed them forever, stripping away illusions of safety and superiority. They had faced the unknown and survived, but at what cost? And so, as stars streaked past the viewport, they vowed to remain vigilant. Because somewhere out there, in the vast emptiness of space, a deadly secret waited to be unleashed. The story of the Solara 7 serves as a chilling reminder that the cosmos holds mysteries both wondrous and terrible. Will you dare to explore the depths of science fiction with us? Subscribe now to uncover more thrilling tales of adventure, terror, and survival in the unforgiving expanse of space. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. You won't want to miss what comes next. Together, let's brave the unknown.